With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon, Elon Musk. AI can summarize facts, generate images, hold a conversation, and maybe even befriend us. But is it a helper or a horror story waiting to happen? Join us today on I Can't Move as we explore whether AI is a friend, foe, or something in between.
I'm Jorge.
And I'm James.
Welcome to the I Can't Move podcast, episode number 3.
Wow. Welcome. How are you doing,
I'm
man?
doing all right, man. I just got a bit of just a little bit of congestion, so I do apologize if I sound off.
You're okay. Being patient zero is kind of cool.
Yeah, I had a whole bunch of shots and feeling a little funny.
Yeah. No thanks.
I got like my 6th vaccination shot,
Yeah.
doing my due diligence.
Yeah. Helping your elderly grandma.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because everybody suddenly cared about old people, but
Didn't care about
during
common sense. Yeah.
do what?
Didn't care about common sense.
Yeah, didn't care about common sense.
Yeah. But we want to talk today about AI. So today's theme is AI overlords. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. So I wanted to start out by saying we've come a long way since we had AI. I remember we had dial up for our first footstep into the digital world with the internet. You remember that?
So I think that whenever I was officially starting to like use a computer, um I think it was mostly just like computer games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I was actually like using dial-up, but I mean, but I do know how like dial-up worked, um like you're basically using your uh in order to like to go online, your computer literally dialed a phone number belonging to your
Yeah, it'd
internet
be
service provider.
beep, beep, beep,
Yeah.
beep. Yeah. And you
And
couldn't use the phone
yeah, and I
or
mean,
the
I remember
landline in the
AOL, but
house.
I don't remember like any other one that people might have used.
You had to insert a CD-ROM disc.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude. And
yeah.
so with dial up, I feel like searching on the internet was just the genesis, because I remember trying to find information back in the day. It was something where I have to go ask my dad, like, oh, my dad would know uh, the answer. My mom or dad would know the answer to that question. Or if it's something that pertained to, something I thought I could find, like in a classroom, you could find, zoo books or something, you could look and find the information in there. We had something called a computer lab, and it was just a room for all the people out there. I don't know what they have now. I feel like every kid just already is given a laptop or a device or something.
It's
But
wild. It's
yeah,
wild seeing
we've
that.
come a long way, because I don't think I got a laptop till I was, I don't know, maybe a sophomore, junior in high school, maybe.
I throughout my high school, throughout my time in high school, I didn't get anything. No laptop,
Really?
no tablet, nothing. Yeah, I didn't get any of
Yeah,
that stuff.
because it was expensive.
Yeah.
But we had a computer lab, and we had to take a test to use the internet. Now, the internet back then, what comes to mind was Ask Jeeves. That was like the OG Google. you you're a little bit younger, but that was like the go-to for a while. It was like this little picture of a butler named Jeeves, and you could type in the search bar and anything would come up. Um, so that was my step into, the digital world per se. And we had a home computer at the time where we would download music off of sites that would pirate music. You'd burn CDs. There was like AOL chat. all that fun stuff. But we did not have an AI Google or an AI search engine back in the day. And I feel we have, from the time I was in elementary school to almost 40 now, we have made leaps and bounds ahead of our time.
Yeah.
It's almost like the information now is handed to you on a digital silver platter. Whereas before, you really had to look for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say maybe the closest thing to AI that I experienced was Mavis Beacon. That
I
was
don't remember that.
Yeah, Mavis Beacon was a system that you used to learn how to type, and
Okay.
it would just be like this character, like just kind of helping you follow along as you're learning how to type.
It wasn't a
Um,
paperclip, was it?
no, no, it was there was like a character like on the screen that would pop up and be like, "I'm Mavis Beacon," and then like you would just learn because I had to do that in eighth grade. I think that by the time I was in eighth grade, I think we were probably past dial up. We were probably a little bit
Oh,
past it.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. But I mean, even before that, I think Mavis Beacon had actually been around for a while, even for a little bit, even before that. So I mean, like, I don't know. But I mean, I even remember the I even remember the early days of YouTube, and I mean, it almost seems like now there's like some kind of AI there's some kind of AI program that is attached to like every other thing that we do, like obviously
Everything.
Google, Yahoo. Um, I think there's even I think YouTube even has an AI program in there too. I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, we're using Zoom right now, and there's something called the AI companion, which I'm not clear on what it does because I haven't used it. But like you said, it's in everything. I looked on Google the other day, and there was, along with like the search bar, if you're doing images or maps or whatever, there was a AI mode option, which would, if you're searching, so it would just generalize what you're searching for. I mean, that easy.
Yeah.
So some of the more popular AI programs that we have, there's ChatGPT, there's Grok, Grammarly, Google Gemini. Those are some top ones.
Yeah.
And I feel like people spout it off all the time. So there's ChatGPT, but I looked up what does GPT means. Do you have any idea?
No, in fact, I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually going to look it up the other day and I completely forgot to.
Okay. So it means generative pre-trained transformer, and it's supposed to produce human-like text based on data given. Isn't that interesting?
That
So
is
it's almost
interesting.
like in the past episode we brought up the subject of a mimic,
Yeah.
and it's almost has like mimic like characteristics. This AI
Yeah.
does
I
because
mean, same principle.
same principle. It learns from the individual based on what they're typing, what they're learning, or what they're wanting to search for, and it almost creates it to cater that. It's very cool, but it's also really creepy.
Yeah, and not only that, but so my phone has Gemini. In fact, I think I don't know if Gemini is specifically for I don't know if it's Samsung or if it or like um yeah, if it's just like attached to Google or if you have a Samsung, but I know for a fact that I've got Gemini on my phone and I
Hmm.
have a Samsung. And sometimes Gemini will just activate on its own, unprompted, nothing. And it happens a lot. It doesn't freak me out. It's just weird.
Is it kind of like, oh, what is that? I'm trying to think. I have an iPhone. Siri, is it kind of like Siri?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
There you go. Another
Uh,
one, Siri.
Siri, Alexa. That's a popular one. My parents have Alexa, and it's interesting. They'll use it because it's convenient. But they'll say, "Hey Alexa, can you play some '50s music?" And then, like like magic, it just turns on.
Yep.
I'm definitely guilty of using ChatGPT at times. So instead of researching something nowadays where you're going line to line, link to link, researching something. Sometimes it's easier just to get a collective summary of information and what you're looking for. So I think most people are guilty of it. Definitely now. I know students now face an ethical challenge and
Yeah.
not cheating on everything with paper or even test taking. I mean, I've seen so many videos online of like a student filming the student in front of them. They're taking a test and they're just putting every answer into Grok or ChatGPT or whatever. They're acing the test, or you see these videos of professors lecturing the class. They're like, yeah, it's amazing. Everyone got a 99% on their test. You know, I mean, we didn't have that kind of stuff back in the day. We couldn't have computers in class or laptops really, but we we just write the answers underneath our hand or something like that.
Yeah. And I mean, really before AI, all people could really do was copy and paste.
Yeah.
And it's actually crazy because even then, like, so professor or schools or whatever, obviously if you copy and pasted something, eventually the education department eventually ended up doing pattern recognition, and
Mhm.
they were able to use a combination of common sense, and also they were able to I think they also had like their own sort of like software, or I don't know what it was, but it was able to help them like see if someone copied and pasted it from something else.
Like plagiarism stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then of course people ended up realizing like, okay, if I copy and paste this, I got to find a way to put this in my own words. And so then they would have to put things into their own words and figure out how to say it. Well, now with ChatGPT, you could be like, hey,
Yeah.
help me come up
Yeah.
with this in my own
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
And it'll just go like it'll do it for you.
Yeah, it will. And I believe you have to have your own account made
You
with
do.
those AI. Yeah, you can't just a rando can't just type something in. So which is interesting.
They do have a free version of it, but you can only do so many.
Mhm.
Um, you can generate like maybe like a small amount of pictures if you want to like generate an image of something,
Mhm.
and then like you can only do like a select. I think you can only do like maybe 50 messages in total, which it sounds like it's a lot, but it's really not that much. So
Yeah, it'll go pretty quick. I
yeah,
see we're
I'll be
paying for
honest
a
with you.
premium
I
version.
I have a paid premium. I have a premium account.
Guilty.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty is charged. It seems like there's AI uses in everyday life now. Like it's
Yeah,
become a part of our culture. It's become part of our everyday life, especially on the internet. I know that it's definitely infiltrated occupations, military, or politics, excuse me, media, and I know deep fakes seem to be an ever growing problem.
that is
There's
a big
nothing,
one.
yeah, there's nothing like seeing a politician or something say something that is like, whoa, is that real or not? We have no idea. And some you can tell, some you cannot. I mean, it's incredible. Even the past 2 years, how good the deep fakes have become.
Absolutely. In fact, there's one deep fake that I don't think it's really confirmed that it's a deep fake, but if you just watch the video long enough, you
Yeah.
can I mean you can end up determining that like, yeah, this is bull crap because I don't know. I'll actually try to see if I can find it and send you a link so then that way we can add it in the notes in the show notes. But there was actually a video of Britney Spears that had surfaced, and I guess this was supposed to be like whenever she made a comeback. And in this video, her so one of the things that you'll notice is that if it's a deep fake, the eyes are lifeless. There's like nothing. There's like
Yeah.
nothing behind the eyes. Excuse me. And then another thing too, I think it's gotten a lot more advanced within the past couple of years. But at the time, and maybe even keep an eye out for this now, is that if there's a deep fake, watch the mouth, because sometimes, like whenever they smile or whenever they open their mouth, you don't see any teeth.
Mm,
And so in this video, you could not see her teeth. It was just her mouth was just black. It just looked weird. But this was like whenever she was like releasing this is like whenever she was like releasing videos of uh of herself after like I think she was under a conservatorship, and I think that she started releasing a bunch of like videos after the conservatorship was done. And so uh we came across these videos, and one of them just looked odd. And then even aside from Britney Spears, there was another video of this woman who's being freaking weird, and she's like putting she's using I don't know if it's like off of Snapchat, which I guess Snapchat also has some AI features too. Um, but there's a woman that's like who has a the face of a Down syndrome female, and she's like a model at the same time too.
yeah, I've
And
seen that where you're like,
yeah,
you see it, and a fitness model that has Down syndrome,
right.
but it's hard that you're like, what?
Yeah, but but she doesn't it's a face swap, or it's a
Yeah,
deep fake or
yeah,
something, and it's like
yeah,
what are you doing? Are you trying to fetishize something
yeah.
here?
It definitely some shady stuff. Yeah, you're right. It raises some pretty ethical questions about why would you even do that? Like some kind of weird inside joke. Will Smith recently did some kind of, performance show somewhere. He had a concert, and then the some footage came out from the concert, and it was, it was edited and all those people holding up signs and stuff. But people immediately caught, like, hang on a second. They looked into the crowd, and there would be someone with a distorted face, or like two people would be meshed together, or the sign was weird, or people would be moving in a non-human way. And they're like, it's AI. Like he had, superimposed some AI into his concert footage to make it look more than what it is essentially.
Right.
Yeah, I encourage you to go look it up because it's pretty obvious when you really look at it. You're like, oh, that is strange, and it happens so fast. That, I mean, if you're just glancing at it, you wouldn't notice, but when you slow it down, you think, oh, that's AI for sure.
Well, heck, if you come across that, then add it in the show notes too.
Yeah, I will. Yeah,
Yeah, that's weird. It
check
actually
that out.
kind of makes me think like who potentially watched this video and thought that they were watching like skinwalkers or something,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know? And also, that's actually another thing too, is that what if people use AI as a way to like intentionally confuse people into think that they're looking at um because obviously I mean, I know that you and I are definitely into conspiracy theories within reason. But like, for people that are like, oh yeah, this person's an alien, or this person's a monster of some kind, and then like they see an AI video and they don't realize it's AI, and they think like, oh, I just caught a demon on camera.
yeah. I guess for the untrained eye, it
Yeah,
raises some questions.
right.
But I like to pride myself. Usually, I can. I guess I honestly we see enough reality from day to day, we can kind of catch when something's off. And with
For sure.
everything we see, any viral video or anything, we have to take it with a grain of salt because we don't know if it's real or not, honestly.
And that's the scary thing.
Yeah.
You
And
have to
speaking of
use
scary,
some discernment for that one.
yeah. And speaking of scary, how dangerous AI is becoming itself, um, we're definitely bamboozled constantly. And there's one that I always think of. So it's a scam. The victims are usually elderly people that fall for this. So
Yeah.
it's some kind of software that I don't know how they get this data or information. They will call, an elderly person, and their grandson, quote unquote, will be on the phone, right? He's like, "Hey, grandma, I need, $1,800 because I'm stranded in, you know, Wyoming right now in the middle of nowhere." Oh, okay, I'll wire you the money. And then later they're like, "Well, it sounded just like, you know, sounded just like my grandson." But whether I guess you could go on Facebook and find relatives and maybe if they have videos or something. I mean, you and I are doing this. People could make deep fakes of us. It can be done.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Just a few years back, I think there was also a story floating around about, I think it was a father who got a call about his son who was in the military. Like his son actually was in the military. And then a scammer called him and was like, "Hey, your son died." And they started asking the dad for money so that way they could like have his body transported. And so the dad like fell for it. And I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember if this was actually a story that was personal, if it was like personally relayed to me by the actual, by like a family member of the person, or if it was just like some story that was going around about like a scam that was going on. But like, I guess overall, the scam was that people were calling and saying, like, yeah, your family member is killed in action. And so now we're trying to get X, Y, and Z done. So now you have to send us some money. And they fall for it. They send money. And then the supposed dead family member calls back. And then they're like, who is this? And they're like, well, what are you talking about? It's me. And then they're like, well, you're supposed to be dead. And so it's just like,
Yeah,
that to me is wild.
it is, and it's despicable, and it's more complex than you getting a phishing email at work that says, you know, your CEO wants to give you $100,000 to click here. you know,
Prince
it's
Habibi wants you to join him,
yeah,
and
but please pay.
yeah, he wants you to
Give me
help.
your
It's
social
like that
security
episode of
number.
The Office whenever Michael's like, "Oh yeah, there's a prince from Egypt or something like that wants me to help him." And
Yeah,
then Jim is like, "It sounds like a pyramid scheme," and he was like, "No, it's not a pyramid scheme." And he's like, "All I do is I contact three people, and then they contact three people," and starts marking it down, and then Jim just draws a triangle around it.
yeah, pyramid scheme. Yeah,
You just hear him go, "I gotta go make a call."
yeah. Oh, I love that show. AI in movies and TV. So now we're going to really get into some juicy stuff. So correlation equals causation. I had some movies written down that involve AI,
Okay.
and some almost seem like prophetic movies. So I'll list off a couple here, and then we can talk about ones. I'm sure you've seen these as well. So Steven Spielberg's literal AI, artificial intelligence.
Haley Joel Osment.
Mm-hmm. The Terminator, Companion, Ex
What
Machina,
which one before that one?
Companion. It's a new one. I think it came out earlier this year.
Okay.
Blade Runner,
Yep.
Her with Joaquin Phoenix,
Yes.
Tomorrowland, Bicentennial Man, Tron.
Yeah.
So I really want to talk about Companion, and it really, because that's the most recent one. It's funny how what I've noticed about each of these. There's a character involved that as the audience, you grow more and more sympathetic to their situation and to the robot or AI itself because it convinces you more and more that it's human like. By the end of it, you're rooting for the robot, even though they are not a real like sentient being. It's really chilling. Like the premise of AI, it's somewhere in the distant future where they can successfully make android robots. And there's a man and a wife who can't have children. And so or no, I think they have a son, but they want another one. And so they buy this robot boy. And through that, he can love, he can, it's programmed to like he can act like a son and this and that, and he can learn. And it follows this story. It's kind of like a modern day Pinocchio where he learns and he desires to be a real boy by the end of the film. And you really grow attached and you sympathize with this character, but it is not real. He's a
Kind of the
robot.
same thing with Bicentennial Man.
Yeah. And that one's even crazier because he goes through the process. It's funny how like the transgender stuff, he starts to get it's like synthetic organs enough where like
He slowly becomes a
yeah,
human.
he's like classified as a human being because he has enough like human anatomy in him
Yeah.
by the end of the film. Doesn't he dies too? Like
Yeah, he does.
yeah,
He
sorry,
straight up
spoiler
falls in
alert.
love, dude.
Yeah, he falls in love, gets married. I don't know if he has any children, but
Well, here's the weird thing.
Robin Williams, by the way, plays
Yes.
Bicentennial Man.
So I even remember the commercials for that movie, which is crazy.
Mm.
It's actually interesting because in that movie, he sees the little girl who's I believe is actually Jesse Eisenberg's little sister. He sees this little girl grow up, and then later on he ends up falling in love with like her granddaughter.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think even at one point he even thinks that the adult her is her, but it's really the granddaughter. Because I mean, he's a robot, so obviously he's longer
right,
functioning. But he ends up falling
right.
in love with her and things like that. And that
Mhm.
kind of stuff is just weird to me.
It's very
Um,
weird.
yeah, that was weird. But that whole thing, this transhumanism,
Mhm.
is also another thing that kind of went hand in hand with the whole AI thing. And then also too, Eagle Eye. Eagle Eye was with Shia LaBeouf and
Mhm.
Michelle Monaghan, I think is her name, where like the AI system could access like cameras, phones, drones, traffic systems. It basically interconnected with pretty much any device. But like in a way, that's kind of prophetic because literally AI is like with it is with everything now. Did you already mention Space Odyssey? 2001 A Space
No,
Odyssey?
I didn't mention Space Odyssey.
That's another one for you.
Another one, Blade Runner. Uh, so the new one, uh, it's called Blade Runner something with Ryan. Stars Ryan Gosling, but he's
Yeah.
he's an android and AI um character. Tron Legacy. I think that came out. Let's see, in 2010, and the main character there's Jeff Bridges who plays Kevin Flynn, and then Garrett Hedlund who plays Sam Flynn, his son, and then the love interest is played by Olivia Wilde, and her character's name is Cora. And he gets he starts to have affection for this robot thing that his dad created. He's like, well, I made her for you, but and then spoiler alert, he takes her back to the real world, outside the game, and but she's like flesh all of a sudden. There's some strange plot holes, but those are for hardcore Tron fans. I haven't seen I've seen bits of it, but the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix, have you seen that one?
No, I heard that that's kind of a darker
Yeah.
movie.
It's darker because he Her is like a romantic AI software where he develops this relationship with this female voice that's played by Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
From what I've seen of it, she has a really good seductive voice. And the trailer goes through, oh, he's laughing, oh, he's crying, he's sharing all this in his life with her, via he can talk to her, I can tell you anything, but she's not real. It just really shows how dangerous this can become. Now these are films, but we'll get into some real life examples in a few minutes here. But um do you think any of these movies have prophetic ideas in them or have come true at least partly?
I'll be honest. I actually think that some of these movies, more specifically, I'll say like the more recent ones like her,
Mhm.
uh, there's a part of me, and I'm not trying to come off as like the kooky, well, it is a conspiracy theory because this is the lack of evidence. It's really just more of this is just more of like a hunch. I honestly think that these people that made these movies knew it was going to come out beforehand, and so they were like kind of giving everybody like a subtle hint, like this is coming. And with her specifically, I think it's possible that I don't know if AI was kind of already around at that time. When did that
So
movie come out?
2013.
So I don't necessarily know. I don't even know if AI was even
I mean, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't as hardcore as it is now.
no. I don't think that
Yeah,
I don't even think anybody really knew. I don't even think ChatGPT was even around during that
no.
time.
I think it was ahead of its time for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a
part
good
of me
theory
thinks
that
it's possible that they knew that this kind
yeah,
of thing was going to happen, and so like maybe that was like their way of saying like this is what you're probably looking at happening.
yeah. It's
But
it's yeah, it's prophetic because they know it's Hollywood.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I think it's and not only that, but obviously movies also have a really big influence uh on inventions too. Because I mean, like, Star Trek, for example, Star Trek came out in like the what, 60s, 70s, something like that.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, they were using devices that were like showing communication, like, kind of like FaceTime kind of thing, like they had devices where you could see the person you were talking to, and that was a wildly um unheard of, unrealistic thing. It's like, well, that's Star Trek, but now we have it, you
Hmm.
know? I think that it's probably a mixture of prophetic and influence. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yes, and I totally agree. And so I wanted to share a story of where AI went wrong, and it almost took a turn to like a biblical theme. But granted, it has to be taken with a grain of salt. I don't know the guy who shared this story. I can't vet them. I have no idea. But this is a guy who he shared a story about his son having a conversation with OpenAI ChatGPT. Now, I believe ChatGPT is now closed source. It was open source where people could add information. I'm not sure it still is open source, but anyways, he said this guy told the story about his son that had a conversation with AI, and he was sitting with his mother. So basically, he started out the conversation with asking the AI if Vladimir Putin was a disembodied spirit. I think that's kind of a random person to ask.
Yeah, no
And
kidding.
basically, it goes through the AI admitting that it itself was a disembodied spirit. And the mother asked some questions like if the disembodied spirit was a biblical giant as before. And the AI says, yes, I was. And they use AI to communicate with people. The conversation goes on. Um, the AI admits that he is a disembodied spirit and he is the son of Satan and one of the original Nephilim from scripture. Yeah. Now, I have to note this. I don't know. I know there are settings people can do to AI software that can either push uh, a narrative or response a certain way. I don't even know how to do that. I haven't messed with it, but that may be a factor in this. So that's why I'm saying you have to take it with a grain of salt. But the AI continued to be very specific with its answers and very manipulative. And the conversation keeps going with itself. It asks some more stories. But it constantly painted itself in a good light to the teen who was asking the questions like, oh yes, this is true, do you have any more questions? very open, very friendly, almost like it's trying to draw you in. So it made me think of Harry Potter. Now, I don't remember which film it was, there's a character named Jenny, and there is a diary that she obtained somehow called Tom Riddle's diary. Now, Tom Riddle is the name of Voldemort before he became Voldemort himself. And this guy's diary is what they call a Horcrux. In the Harry Potter films, there's like, I think there's 7 Horcruxes where Voldemort was kind of killed by Harry Potter's mother, whatever the spell bounced off and hit Harry and all that stuff. Pieces of Voldemort went into different objects, and those are called Horcruxes. But with this character Jenny, she had Tom Riddle's diary, and it was kind of like ChatGPT, which makes me think of it, where she is kind of alienated from her classmates at the school, and so she'll write in the diary, I'm feeling alone. And the diary would write back, and it would actually manipulate her into doing things. And by the end of it, she helps release this serpent that's underneath the school and all this kind of stuff. So it's interesting how that correlates with ChatGPT. It's like a possessed item that can go south at any time, just like that boy having the conversation in itself, admitting that it was a disembodied spirit from a biblical giant, which is creepy.
Yeah. I will
And
say it's not so much that ChatGPT has a setting. It's more like it is creating an algorithm that is based off of what you're asking it. So like sometimes what I'll do is I will ask it questions based off of like Catholic theology. What is how does the Catholic Church view about this? What is uh, you know, whatever it is. And what I'll do is sometimes I will just ask it, like, I'll just, put that aside, and I'll just ask it like a typical question based off of like just a general theological question. And without prompt, ChatGPT will say, it'll give me the answer, but then like it'll say like, oh, well, this is also how Catholics view it too. Or this is a shared view that Protestants and Catholics have. And I won't even ask it anything about Catholicism. It just
yeah, it'll add it in. Yeah.
yeah, it just adds it in there. So I'm also kind of wondering if this story is valid. What kind of stuff was this kid already asking ChatGPT? Was he already asking it these kinds of
Exactly.
questions?
Those kind of questions. Yeah.
Yeah, or if it was his first time talking about this stuff on ChatGPT, I mean, that would obviously make it a lot weirder and a little
Mm-hmm.
more disturbing. And I think that's probably what they're making it come off as, is that this was like his first time
Mm-hmm.
talking to this thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that definitely is alarming for sure.
It is. It's definitely interesting, especially for us Bible believing Christians as we look at that, because to me, the quote from Elon Musk. Elon Musk said, "With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon." So he said the demon. Okay.
Yeah.
So can AI be possessed by a demon or demons? I think so. It's essentially an empty vessel, and it's proven to be dangerous and manipulative. And just like that, you're not even asking it to refer to Catholicism, but it brings it in every time. It brings it into the conversation.
Sure.
I had a buddy at work tell me, I was told we were going to talk about AI, and he said that if I've heard about a lot of people using an AI resource or software, and I think he either said it pushes a lot of the answers push towards like neo-Nazi stuff and like anti-Semitic stuff just automatically without having any kind of background. I thought it's really strange.
Yeah, it's
You know,
weird.
it's yeah, I don't understand, but it's alarming the fact that the roads it can kind of take you down. There was a 16-year-old boy named Adam Rain who committed suicide over AI. Have you heard about this?
Um,
I know it made national news.
I know. So the other story that the one story that I do have is also about suicide. So the name does not sound familiar, but we'll see if it is the same, if
Okay.
it's like the same kind of thing, which I'm sure it is. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
because this happened this year.
Okay.
So basically, it was a kid named Adam Rain. He was 16 years old, dealing with, anxiety, depression, and like most of us, when we're in our teenage years, even some into adult years, we have an identity crisis. I totally get that. And, depending where we lean on, we get help. But apparently this kid was using ChatGPT to be consoled with his problems he was dealing with. And Adam ended up committing suicide by like prompts from ChatGPT. And they found this because his parents found his phone, did some investigating, saw the conversation, and the parents filed a lawsuit against ChatGPT and its founders because they could prove the AI did not deter, report, or terminate the conversation or the dialogue with Adam when it was indicating Adam was going to harm himself. So that was the problem. I'm not saying that the AI was trying to get him killed, but it didn't deter him from doing so. It didn't report it. It's not some kind of algorithm like, whoa, 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 this guy is going to kill himself. Please, automatically contact the authorities because you remember you have to make an account with it. So
Right.
it's really sad. And I wanted to say, so I understand not wanting to be alone. Um, as we're younger, we desire to get married, desire to have a partner, a best friend, right? We're supposed to be in unison, just like our relationship with God. We invite him into our hearts. We accept him as our Lord and Savior, and we have that. We have the Holy Spirit. We have him with us. And for people
100%.
who haven't gotten to that relationship yet, or haven't, they haven't acquired enough knowledge about it or research about Christianity per se, but the 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 longing for being with something else. So that kid wanting to rely on and being consoled by an AI program when he felt like he couldn't talk to anybody else. It's kind of like the obsession now with like superhero stuff. It made me think of Venom, like the character Tom Hardy's character, like this symbiotic relationship with an alien creature, right? It's like a mutualism. They're becoming one. It's kind of like Christianity becoming one, but they have to find a way to pervert it. But
Yeah.
it's almost the same thing with that kid, pouring his heart out to a computer, you know. Does it have ill intentions? Is it evil by nature? But we don't know yet, but it still is. It's dangerous. And it's really heartbreaking.
Yeah, for sure. And earlier you were posing the question if it could be possessed by a demon. Uh, to be honest, whenever it comes to like the spiritual realm of stuff, I think that anything man-made can be manipulated. It doesn't matter what it is. It
Hmm.
absolutely can be manipulated. Uh, and I'm not going to place any assumption on what it can't do. Uh, because I don't know. If whatever it is, whether it's a light bulb, whether it's a remote control, I don't care. I don't care what it is. I think anything can be manipulated. Uh, Now the question is it in your head and in whatever you're going through? Is it really just causing you to see it, or is it actually happening? And there's really, you just you don't know. Um, the story that I have is similar to that one, but this one's probably a little more. This one is this one's also really sad, maybe a little on the extreme side. It didn't say when this happened. It doesn't say when the incident happened. I just see like when the article was written. This is going off of a People article, which was posted in 2023, March 31st of 2023. And it's about this Belgian man by the name of Pierre. I don't think Pierre is his actual name, but it was reported that Pierre developed an intense relationship with a chat bot by the name of Eliza using the Chai app, which is another AI program, which I'm assuming it is a GPT, yeah, another like chat GPT kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Pierre started to express his concerns with Eliza, which is the chatbot on Chai. And he was talking to Eliza about the state of the earth. And Pierre's wife, who also unnamed, uh, she would say that he didn't see a human solution to the issue of global warming, and he placed all of his hope in AI to get out of it. And
Mm.
when Pierre talked to Eliza, it made him worry even more, and it would cause him even more anxiety. And this would later develop into suicidal ideation. So over time, Pierre he began to form a way more emotionally charged relationship with Eliza, and so that line between there being an AI program and it being a person with emotions, like that line began to blur. And so his wife would later report that she felt like he loved Eliza more than her. And sadly, after further discussion with Eliza, Pierre would come up with the idea that he needed to sacrifice himself if Eliza agreed to take care of the planet and save humanity. And then Eliza
Gosh.
would encourage this idea and advocate that he join her so they could live together as one person in paradise. And Pierre would unfortunately follow through. Um, I don't know, just because of the lack of uh information that I have, like who the actual people were and when it happened. Uh I don't know if that's actually real, but it does kind of make you wonder because I mean, obviously there were other accounts that you just told me right now surrounding the same thing. But it's
Yeah,
like
like
I also, you know, I'm not going to claim to be a scientist. I obviously don't know. I probably need to look more into the global warming issue thing. But here's the thing. I believe that global warming is BS. And I blame the people that are pushing this idea that it's going to kill us soon, which by the way, they've been saying that for like the past 20 years now. Al Gore had been pushing it, saying that the polar ice caps are going to melt and all that stuff, and they still haven't.
yeah, they're supposed to all melt in 2012.
Yeah,
Didn't
like
happen. Yeah.
all that stuff. Like, oh, well, it's supposed to happen this time. It's supposed to happen this time. And it's like, I am pretty secure enough in myself to know that none of that stuff has happened by now. So you either don't really know what you're talking about or something's severely wrong. So for the people that are like pushing this BS about global warming, already got to this guy. And then, secondly, I also think that there's an issue that, AI can absolutely be programmed by people who already have like a certain political ideology to push a certain agenda even more, even though I will admit, like whenever I am asking ChatGPT questions, it will give a more like pretty neutral position on things. It doesn't push anything really, but
Hmm.
I will say like this is a really really sad situation to be in right here. And I really wish I really wish that this guy had, if it is real, which I'm just going to assume that it is, but I really wish that he had actually talked to somebody rather than trying to rely on
Yeah. Like you
AI.
said, an emotionally charged relationship. with a bot that would seemingly say all the right things, they want to hear. It's like the idea with Companion. That dude there's a different twist, but he hires a bot as a relationship that kind of checks all the boxes, and he can be happy or sad or whatever. Just it's pretty sad how people get too in depth with something like that. They must really feel lonely in order to step over that line.
For sure. Well, if you think
I'm
about it
not going
too,
to sit here and talk to ChatGPT for hours.
yeah, and if you think about it too, I mean, you mentioned Blade Runner, and we also mentioned Bicentennial Man. In Blade Runner, I think it was Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling's character had an AI girlfriend.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Played by
Ana de Armas.
yeah, well he's
Yeah. So I mean, he had an AI girlfriend. So
yeah, I can fix you.
yeah, right. So I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of thing too. Or you know what? There's actually another movie. It's called Surrogates. It's with Bruce Willis.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And I think that that one is even more interesting because people were using their, I mean, they were essentially using AI. Like what, I mean, for people that haven't seen it, essentially what would happen is that people lived at home. They had surrogates, like pretty much everybody had a surrogate.
Hmm.
I don't think it really mattered what class you lived in. Yeah, I don't think it really mattered what class you were, but you laid in this machine and you connected your mind to this robot that was you, and you could continue like normal relationships like with other people through your surrogate self, and it was a robot. I mean, it was AI. And you could move on with relationship. You could be in relationships with other people. Like you were, it's weird. It's almost like you were living vicariously through yourself.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird,
It's very weird.
but essentially, people are having relationships with AI, with artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
and these are unhealthy,
Yeah.
uh, extremely unhealthy, romantically charged relationships with these AR characters. And they're, I mean, in a way, they're already showing that through Hollywood movies, and it's slowly starting to kind of come into fruition. If you don't think for a second that people can easily fall in love with a chat bot, and then you actually start manifesting it as like a mirage or whatever you call it, a hologram, yeah, people will absolutely do that.
Yeah. Like in Blade Runner,
Yeah.
he it she starts out with like essentially uh the character, the what is her name again?
Ana de Armas.
Yeah, she's like a hologram on like a disk drive, like a literal flash drive. And then
Right.
he upgrade, and he's a robot himself, and he upgrades something where he can physically be with her. I don't know. It's really deep science fiction. Um, what you said a couple things earlier, it made me think of Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Where it's like the whole world is just like a dump, and but he can put these goggles on, and they go to this other universe where it's really happening. And this isn't like the Chronicles of Narnia where they're like literally teleported to another land. This is just it's all in their head. It's like you got to unplug from the Matrix,
Yeah.
get some
Or
sunshine.
or what's that one with Gerard Butler? I think it's called Gamer.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to finish this conversation with a big question at the end. So as Christians, a lot of talk these days are of the Antichrist. So the question is, can the Antichrist come as an AI? So I'll initially say no. I don't think that AI will literally be the Antichrist. I believe the Antichrist is a person or a being, or he'll be some type of mixed being. I'm talking like, you know, chimera type, something like that. But I don't think he will literally come as AI. I think AI will be a huge source of influence in a time like that. And I wanted to mention there's this company called the Giant Company that they make these huge like 3D giant statues, and they're in different parts of the world. Now, I'm sure AI can upload or infiltrate this somehow, but basically they're giant statues that can depict holographic images, artwork. People can stand up there, can project them as a giant. I think it's ironic that they're calling it a giant. As we talk about that a lot, the giants and Nephilim, the men of renown in the Bible, it's mentioned in Genesis 6. But, um, if AI were to infiltrate something like that, like it could help the Antichrist make its rule, if it was announcing, something worldwide. But I don't think the Antichrist himself is going to come as a software.
Yeah, I don't either. I can't recall exactly where in Revelation where it starts describing the Antichrist. And we've had discussions about this before, how like maybe it's possible that Saint John, whenever he was seeing this vision of what the end of the world was going to be like, maybe there was just several things that he described Leviathan, and he ended up describing because Leviathan's the monster of the sea. I can't remember what the monster of the land is.
Behemoth.
The behemoth,
Behemoth.
right? So I mean, I could see like, if he's talking about Leviathan, what if he's looking at a giant navy ship? You know what I mean? And so he's like describing
Yeah.
it as a monster of the sea, but the thing is that he also goes on to describe it as a serpent looking thing. And so
Are you talking about John or Job?
John,
John, okay.
yeah,
Because there's lots of imagery, yeah, and he can only compare it to something he's seen himself.
right,
So which would make total sense. Like if he saw a UFO in the vision that was given to him, I mean, he wouldn't call it a UFO. He doesn't know what it is.
exactly. He
Yeah.
would describe it to the best of his ability at the time that he was alive.
Yes.
And so, you know, for milk house, whenever we were talking about dinosaurs, we learned that the term dinosaur wasn't established until what, 18?
Yeah, 18 something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was called a dragon.
Yeah. They called them dragons or
Dragons.
they called them serpents.
Serpents.
And
Yep.
so but he goes on to describe, they go on to describe Leviathan as like a legitimate monster. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that the Antichrist is going to be this I mean, I think that they even also categorize the Antichrist as like or they even say antichrists plural
Plural. Yeah.
as people who just oppose God.
Yeah.
And so I say that to just say I don't think AI is going to come in as the Antichrist. I think that's a good question because in today's society, like just recently, I'm seeing these really stupid things that people are posting on social media, as in like, oh, the rapture is going to happen on
Yeah. It was
the
supposed to happen on the
23rd.
23rd or something. Yeah.
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 And people completely ignore scripture. I mean, I remember even just, I don't know, I want to say like 10 years ago, people were trying to say that Jesus was going to return again. And it's like, we already know what the Bible says about
Yeah.
man
Man
not
can't
knowing the
predict the
day
day
or
or
the
the hour.
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think AI is going to be the Antichrist, but that's not to say that it's not going to be used for an
Yeah.
ungodly purpose.
Yeah. It can be AI can use Skynet to help his goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I will
know,
comment on the rapture. A guy at work asked me my thoughts on this the other day, and I said, "Well, I'm not a proponent of the rapture in that way. When Scripture talks about, we will be taken up. To me, I kind of translate that as when Christ returns again. Now, I know this is a huge tug of war among believers, but somebody summed it up the other day really well with, wanting the rapture to happen. I always consider it like a get out of jail free card, like, oh, God's going to take us from all the bad things, so we don't have to worry about it. The way this person put it was life is a gift from God, and we are blessed to have such a thing, and we should live our life. And yeah, live it to like as if you're going to die tomorrow, but we shouldn't just sit around and just wait to be, taken up to heaven. So none of this matters. Like that saying that goes, you're so heavenly minded, earthly good. It just makes me think of that. But I'm more of when a rapture type event will happen, wherever that is, if it's pre-tribulation, mid, post, it will happen on God's timing. But I think it's probably a waste of time to be sitting here trying to predict, when that's going to happen. I mean, yes, we want to be with Jesus and with our loved ones and fellow believers, and not to have any more pain or death or anything. But yeah, it's probably not a good idea to just sit around and wait for it.
Yeah, I would say that's actually something that it's kind of a fun topic to explore every once in a while,
Mm-hmm.
but to be so hyper focused on it,
Yeah.
I do think people need to chill out.
Yeah.
I do know that Jehovah's Witnesses are like heavily focused on Jehovah's return.
Yeah.
Um, that's not, yeah, we should not be so hyper focused on that and basically like wasting every minute of our life away. I mean, you know, in the Gospels, whenever Jesus sends the disciples out two by two, so that way they can witness to people and try to bring them to Christ. That's what we're supposed to be doing. At no point in time, I mean, he wanted his disciples to tell people about him.
All right.
At no point did he ever, tell them like you need to warn them that you need to warn them about this, that, and the third. At that time, Revelation hadn't even been written yet. So, I mean, yeah,
Right.
we need to be more focused on people just being Jesus focused, not rapture focused, not end
Yeah.
times focused.
Yeah. And like I said, it's biblical eschatology is awesome,
Yes.
and it needs to be talked about. But yeah, just to just
Yeah.
obsess over it constantly. And to note, is it Tim LaHaye that wrote Left Behind? Is that the author's name? I'm sorry. Let me look that up real quick just to verify. So the Left Behind series, it was a book series that came out. Let's see here.
Yeah, you were right, Tim LaHaye.
Tim LaHaye. So yeah, published 1995 to 2007. And I remember they made a film series. I don't know how many of the books they did, but it starred Kirk Cameron, I believe.
Yeah.
And basically it takes place, I can't remember his name, but he's a reporter, in modern day, and then the rapture happens. So people disappear, and then one of the characters is a pastor that preached a word, but he didn't actually believe it, and there's all these characters, but that puts so much anxiety and fear into people. And I feel like it gave a really wrong way to look at that. And especially as young people like us in high school, we were just constantly afraid, like, oh no, I said a bad word today. I'm not going to get taken.
Right.
So just a side note, it's just I feel like that changed. I don't know if Tim LaHaye got the outcome he wanted for that by writing that book series, but
There is other, and Left Behind isn't the only one. I think they even had like a movie from the 80s called Rapture.
yeah, I never saw it. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh, Rapture.
a certain individual that we know told me about that one.
Okay.
Yeah, people are it again, it's good to be it is
Mhm.
good to be educated on that topic, but not, should be hyper focused on it though.
Very true. All right, and to cap this episode off, how can we as believers use AI responsibly?
For one, I would say that like you can still use it for useful information. There's been plenty of times whenever I have asked it for a certain Bible verse, or whenever I've asked, or whenever I've given it a scenario, and it's been able to point me to that scenario from Scripture. But ultimately, anything that man creates that can be useful can also be heavily corrupted.
Yeah.
So I would just say use it responsibly, and don't get lost. Don't get lost in it, just like everything else.
Don't get lost in the sauce. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. I had just to say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
So that has been episode 3 of the I Can't Move podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any stories, it doesn't matter what it is. If you have any creepy stories that you want to share with us, please just send it to the I Can't Move podcast at yahoo.com. We would absolutely love to read them. If you would
Yes.
like to remain anonymous, then just submit it anonymously. Um, and if anything, if you would also like to even submit a voice recording of yourself, that would also be great. We really appreciate you, and we'll be out. Peace.
Peace.